Hey y'all, Justin Thompson, physical therapist, and I'm here to show you guys how to properly stretch your hip flexors. Move with Freedom PT is a name owned and controlled by Thompson Physical Therapy, PLLC. Not all exercise or health information is suitable for everyone. The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only. No information is to be taken as medical or other health advice pertaining to any individual's specific health or medical condition. The information should not replace the professional diagnosis and treatment needed from a qualified healthcare provider. So a lot of people tend to get this wrong because they're not providing the proper stability in certain areas so that they can get the stretch in the right areas. But first of all, why? Why do you need to stretch your hip flexors? So a lot of people these days, including myself probably, is they spend a lot of time in a sitting position. So when you're sitting, whether at a desk job or while driving or while sitting on your recliner here at home, you spend a lot of time in this 90-degree angle at your hips. Whenever you spend time here, the muscles on the front side of the hips and the lower back and attaching to the hips, they start to shorten up. They sit in a resting position that's shorter than their normal resting position if you're standing. So what happens is, over time, if you spend 8 hours a day sitting, plus 2 hours a day watching TV, plus an hour a day on a commute, you do this day after day after day, year after year after year, then what happens is our body reacts by shortening those muscles a little bit more permanently. And that's just our body's reaction. That's our body's attempt to make your body more efficient at what you're actually asking it to do. So if we're just asking it to stay in this position all day, every day, then our body's going to say, okay, let me make that easier for you, and it's going to shorten things down a little bit more permanently. Now, we can avoid this by still opening up our hips and going in the opposite direction, but we need to do that properly. We need to stretch the hip flexor in a way that's actually going to stretch the hip flexor and not stress other areas of your body. So I want to show you how to do that properly. So like I said, a lot of people tend to get this wrong, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do it. One way, down here on the floor on one knee. If you're not able to get on one knee, then I'll show you a modified version here in just a second. Okay? But whenever you do a hip flexor stretch, whether it's on one knee or it's standing, what you have to make sure of is that you stabilize certain areas of the body so that the stretch is focused on primarily the hip flexors. Now, how do you do that? You have to make sure that whenever you go into a hip flexor stretch, say on one knee like this, you don't let the lower back just arch back into it here, okay? So what I want you to do if you're doing a proper hip flexor stretch is I want you to get down on one knee here, other foot up in front, and you can use something for support if you need it. But what I want you to do before you actually step into that hip flexor stretch, what I want you to do is tuck your hips underneath you. So that may mean you engage your abdominal muscles just a little bit, you engage the glute muscle just a little bit, and that hip turns underneath. And it should stay in this position as you move into that hip flexor stretch, okay? So if you don't do that and you just kind of let your hips fall forward, then you've got this arch in your lower back, and then if you slide forward, it's going to take forever for you to actually get to a point where you'll start to feel that hip flexor stretch, okay? So if you're getting all the way out here on a hip flexor stretch before you ever feel anything, you're probably getting all the motion from your lower back. You don't want all that motion from the lower back. You want stability in the lower back by tucking the pelvis under, engage the core, slightly engage the glutes, and then you're going to slide your body forward, not arch forward, slide the whole body forward here. And it should kick in pretty quickly right here on the front side of the hip. If you have tightness in your quads as well, you may feel it come all the way down the front side of the thigh. come here, you're gonna hold, and then glide into it, and then right there I feel a pretty big stretch right here on the front side of the hip. Now I never want you to just stretch it really, really hard. I want you to go to that point of pull, you start to feel it a little bit, and then hold there, okay? Now how you stretch this depends on your goals. If you're looking to gain a lot of muscle length, so say you've been sitting in a position and you've been doing a lot of sitting for a lot of years, and the muscles are actually shorter, then you actually want to do long duration holds. But if you're just trying to loosen something up before a competition or something like that, or before going and doing some exercise, then it may be more that you just need to do some oscillations into it, some gentle holds, some dynamic stretching, just like this. But if you have any questions about that, about which one you should do, whether it should be long duration holds and for how long, or if it should be dynamic stretching or what it should be, then definitely reach out and let me know. I can help you with that. But the key here is you should have stability in the core, and you should feel the stretch on the front side of the hip here. And you should go to the point where you start to feel a little bit of a pull, but you're not stretching into it like you're trying to rip something off the bone, right? Now, if you can't get down on one knee, then the best thing that you can do is basically do the same thing in a standing position, okay? So you get up here, you tuck your pelvis first, and then you step forward into it, and then you glide forward. You can do the same exact stretch, same kind of position, you're just not putting all the stress on your knee, okay? And you'll still feel that stretch here in the front. Remember, you gotta keep the core engaged, you gotta engage the glutes, and then you glide forward into it. Same thing, okay? So guys, that's how you stretch the hip flexor. If you have questions about that, please leave me a comment, and I would love to get back to you on it. Y'all have a good day.